Did you know that hundreds of successful people have shared their stories in books, explaining exactly how they achieved success, yet so many people don't read them? How do you explain that? One book could save you 5 years of trial and error. Every successful person I know from all over the world is a good reader. Their curiosity pushes them to keep reading. They are always eager to learn. They just read, and read some more. I once heard someone say, if you want to hide wealth from the average person, put it in a book. That hit me hard. Not because it was an insult, but because it was the truth. Most people will complain about their situation, but they won't spend an hour reading a book that could change their life. Let me tell you a story. Years ago, I was broke, frustrated, and looking for answers. I asked my mentor, how do I get rich? He didn't hand me money. He handed me a book. At first, I thought, I need money, not words. But he smiled and said, you're broke because of what you don't know. Learn what the wealthy know, and you'll have what the wealthy have. That's when I realized something. Money doesn't come before knowledge. It follows knowledge. The millionaires, the successful business owners, the investors, they aren't just lucky. They think differently because they've learned differently. And most of what they learned didn't come from school, it came from books. See, life is like a game, and books are the instruction manual. The wealthy know how to play because they've studied the rules. The poor struggle because they never took the time to learn them. So the real question is, will you? Will you invest in your mind the way millionaires do? Or will you keep hoping for success while ignoring the very thing that creates it? I used to think success was about working harder, just putting in more hours, more effort. But then I met a man who was wealthy, wise, and completely in control of his life. I asked him, what's the secret? He smiled and said, it's not about working harder, Jim. It's about thinking better. That stuck with me. Because here's the truth. Your life is a direct reflection of how you think. If your thinking is limited, your life will be limited. If your ideas are small, your results will be small. And the fastest way to expand your thinking? Read. See, most people live inside a tiny mental box. They believe what they were taught as kids. They think only about what they've seen, and they never challenge their ideas. Money is hard to get. Success is only for lucky people. I'll never be rich. These thoughts keep them trapped, and because they never feed their mind new ideas, they stay exactly where they are, broke, frustrated, stuck. But then you look at successful people, and they're always learning. They're devouring books, attending seminars, listening to mentors. Why? Because they know that one idea, just one, can change everything. One book can open a door in your mind you never knew existed. One new way of thinking can unlock opportunities you never even saw before. I remember the first time I read Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. It completely rewired my brain. I thought, why didn't anyone teach me this in school? It was like someone handed me the missing piece of the puzzle. And that's what books do. They introduce you to people you've never met, strategies you've never considered, and worlds you never thought possible. They break down your limiting beliefs and replace them with knowledge, confidence, and power. So here's my challenge to you. If you want to be rich, don't just work harder, think bigger. And to think bigger, start reading. Because the difference between where you are and where you want to be is just one idea away. Books are the cheapest, most accessible mentors you'll ever have. Think about it. Where else can you sit down with a billionaire, a world-class thinker, or a legendary leader for just a few dollars? You can't just call up Henry Ford and ask how he built his empire. You can't invite Andrew Carnegie over for dinner and pick his brain about wealth creation. But their wisdom, their strategies, their lessons, they're all waiting for you inside a book. I remember the first time I picked up How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. I was struggling in business, struggling in relationships, and then this book showed me exactly how to communicate better, how to build stronger connections, how to lead. It was like having Carnegie himself coaching me. And the best part? It cost me less than a meal at a restaurant. But here's the problem. Most people won't take advantage of it. They'll spend money on entertainment, on things that give them nothing in return, but they won't invest in a $10 book that could change their entire life. They say, I don't have time to read, but they'll spend hours scrolling on their phone, watching TV, wasting time on things that add no value to their future. The wealthy know better. They understand that success leaves clues, and those clues are written down, waiting to be discovered. Every great leader, every successful entrepreneur, every millionaire I've ever met has been a reader. Not because they had to, but because they wanted to. Because they knew that the right book at the right time could save them years of struggle. So here's the question. If you could sit down with the greatest minds in history and have them mentor you, would you take that opportunity? Because that's exactly what books offer. And the only thing standing between you and that wisdom is whether you choose to open the book or not. I used to think that earning more money was just about working harder. But then I learned something that changed my perspective forever. Your income is directly tied to your personal growth. You don't get paid for time, you get paid for the value you bring to the marketplace. And where does that value come from? Knowledge, skills, insight, the things you learn. Every book you read increases your earning potential because it sharpens your mind, expands your thinking, and equips you with tools to solve bigger problems. And let me tell you, the marketplace rewards problem solvers. That's how you increase your value. That's how you earn more. I'll never forget when I first picked up a book on sales. I was just starting out in business, struggling to make a living. And then I read a book that taught me how to communicate better, how to persuade, how to close deals. Within a short time, my income doubled. Same me, same industry, just a little more knowledge, and suddenly I was worth more. I once heard someone say, if you think education is expensive, try ignorance. And they were right. The cost of not knowing is far greater than the cost of any book. Some people say, I can't afford to buy books, but they spend money on things that don't serve them. The question isn't whether you can afford books. The question is, can you afford not to read them? The wealthiest people in the world understand this. Bill Gates reads 50 books a year. Warren Buffett spends hours a day reading. Why? Because they know that knowledge compounds. Every book adds another layer of understanding, another tool in the toolbox, another step toward financial success. So here's the challenge. Start reading like your future depends on it, because it does. You don't have to read a book a day, but commit to reading just a little more than you do now, because the more you learn, the more you grow. And the more you grow, the more you earn. I remember when I first started making money, I thought the key to wealth was just earning more. But I quickly realized that making money and keeping money are two very different skills. And keeping it, growing it, that requires financial literacy. Financial literacy isn't something they teach in school, not the way it should be. Most people graduate knowing how to solve algebraic equations, but have no idea how to manage a budget, invest wisely, or build wealth. And because they don't know, they struggle. They spend everything they earn. They fall into debt. They make financial decisions based on emotion rather than knowledge. And years go by, but nothing changes. Because their understanding of money never changes. If you want to take control of your financial future, you have to start by learning. And where do you find the best lessons? In books. Books written by people who have built wealth, who understand money, who have mastered the principles of finance. If you've never read a book on money management, on investing, on wealth building, start today. Because what you don't know is costing you more than you realize. I once met a man who made a great salary, 6 figures, but was always broke. He lived paycheck to paycheck. Why? Because he knew how to make money, but he never learned how to manage it. Then one day, someone handed him a book on personal finance. He read it, applied what he learned, and within a few years, he had savings, investments, and financial security. The same job, the same income, just a different mindset. Some people say, I'll start learning about money when I have more of it. But that's backwards. You have to learn before you have money so that when it comes, you know what to do with it. You don't wait until you're drowning to learn how to swim. You don't wait until you're wealthy to learn how to manage wealth. The right book can change your financial future. The right knowledge can set you free. So start now, because the sooner you learn, the sooner you earn, and the sooner you build a life of true financial freedom. I once met a man who told me he had read every book on success, every book on money, every book on personal development. He said, "Jim, I know everything there is to know about wealth." So I asked him, "That's great. How's your bank account looking?" And he went silent. Because while he had read everything, he had done nothing. You see, reading fills your mind with knowledge, but only action fills your pockets with wealth. A book is a powerful tool, but it's just that, a tool. And a tool left sitting on the shelf won't build anything. You have to pick it up and use it. I remember when I first started studying personal development, I read a book on goal setting. It was full of ideas, full of wisdom, and I thought to myself, wow, this is incredible. But then I closed the book and for weeks nothing changed, and then it hit me. Knowing what to do and doing it are two different things. So I went back, opened that book again, and this time I didn't just read, I applied. I wrote down my goals, set deadlines, and created a plan, and that's when everything started to shift. The wealthy don't just read books. They apply what they read. They take what they learn and turn it into strategies, habits, and decisions. They don't just absorb knowledge. They use it. Because knowledge alone doesn't create wealth, action does. A young man once asked me, "Jim, what's the secret to success?" I told him, "Read books, learn everything you can, and then go do it." He said, "That's it?" Because I said, "That's it." But here's the catch. Most people never do step 2. So don't just be a collector of information. Don't let knowledge pile up in your mind without turning it into action. Read, yes. Study, yes. But then go do something with what you've learned. Because that's where true wealth begins. I once heard someone say, if you're lucky, life will hand you the right opportunity at the right time. But I've found that life doesn't just hand out opportunities. You have to prepare for them. And one of the best ways to prepare is through books. Because sometimes the right book at the right time isn't just an opportunity, it's a turning point. Think about this. If you were offered $1 million business deal today, would you be ready? If you suddenly had the chance to invest in a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, would you know what to do? Most people think they need more money, more connections, or more luck to succeed. But the truth is, you need more preparation. And books are the easiest, cheapest, and fastest way to prepare for the success that's waiting for you. The challenge is, most people don't realize they need the right book until it's too late. It's like standing in front of a locked door, but never picking up the key that's been sitting on the table the whole time. The answers are out there waiting in books, filled with strategies, wisdom, and experiences from those who've already walked the path. The question is, will you pick up the right book before the opportunity comes? Or will you wait until the opportunity passes and then wish you had? I've met people who read a book on investing after they lost money in a bad deal. People who read a book on business after they failed their first company. And people who read a book on personal finance after they found themselves drowning in debt. Don't wait until you're desperate to start learning. Get ahead of the curve. Feed your mind before life tests you. Because life will test you. Books are like seeds. You don't plant them today and get results tomorrow. You plant them early. You water them, you nurture them, and one day they produce a harvest. But if you never plant them at all, you'll stand in the field of your life wondering why nothing is growing. The right book at the right time can change your thinking. And if you change your thinking, you'll change your actions. And when you change your actions, well, that's when everything else changes. So, what book will you pick up today?